Oh, yeah, this is Roadwarden. We marvel at the serenity of the forest and crave the shroud of its silence. Pixel font. I think we'll do basic font so it's probably easier to read. Describe attitudes. Tutorials, sure. Deaf support. Narration describes sound in greater detail. I'll turn that on because I'm curious to see how it describes stuff. I've gotten in the habit even just like watching TV shows with the subtitles on. Because sometimes there's like stuff people say that is almost inaudible on a show or movie or something that you'll almost learn more from being able to read the subtitles, which is strange. Achievements, sure. Text speed, we'll change it if we have to. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So, new game. Already a choice to make. Everyone knows to stay away from the wilderness. Most people would never risk a lonely journey. Roadwardens not only accept this struggle, they embrace it. They deliver messages, assist merchants, burn human corpses, and if possible, get rid of the beasts and highwaymen. They live on the road, die young, or retire early. It's a dangerous job, but a respectable one, and it pays well. I mean, I leave the safety of the city walls. I'm called to action. Select a difficulty mode. This choice can't be altered later on. Interesting. So casual, more focused on story, no time limit. More cash at the start. Some quests are more forgiving. A 40-day time limit. Regular rule set. For standard difficulty. Restrictive, I highly doubt we'll do that. Returning Roadwarden's 30-day time limit. Increased nighttime damage. I think we'll do standard and see how it is. If I'm real keen on just exploring the game, I'm sure I could play it again on a casual mode. But I feel like standard mode's kind of the intended thing. I remember there being some kind of time limit on the demo, even though you could only play for a certain number of days, I think, because it was a demo. Let's do that. Oh yeah. It's coming back to me. The wall is still standing. There's no wolves around, no stench of blood. Good signs. This should be the place you're looking for. You were supposed to meet with a group of soldiers, but you hear no voices, no sounds of labor. The gate is ajar, but the camp isn't safe. It may keep away the goblins and peddlers, but not beast folk nor trolls. And the night is near. Your palfrey breathes heavily. It had a long day. I think it's my horse. Or some kind of creature, anyway. Look for another shelter. Look around cautiously. Dismount and sneak to the gate. 30 minutes before dusk. And I don't think at this point I necessarily have any like skills or anything, but I think we can sneak up and peek inside. Take care of yourself. If you're hurt or exhausted, some actions won't be available to you. The weaker you are, the higher the chance you'll die in combat. Your heavy boots hit the ground and the pain of the long ride finally catches up with you. You stretch out, bringing your backs and legs comfort. All you want now is a table, a decent chair, a nice mug of beer, and some warm stew. With any luck, your axe won't be needed here. Approach slowly. If it's a military camp, it doesn't look the part. Plenty of wasted space. The fire pit is cold. 2 people, so there's people here, are sitting at the table, tired and disheartened. They're looking in different directions, paying no attention to one another. One of them is holding a cup. After a moment, you notice the quiet humming. You recognize the melody of a light-hearted drinking song from the city harbor. Huh. So why are they just sitting here with the door open? Look around cautiously. Birds, insects, and furry beasts are loud as usual. The people inside the camp don't even notice the clatter of hooves. The short, dry grasses barely cover the arid soil of this valley, but you're maybe a minute away from the edge of sparse woods, which get denser as they climb up the hills. At best, this trail has a few more years before getting overgrown for good. Hard to believe it's the only route north. I mean, we better talk to these dudes. Don't look like much of a threat. Enter. It takes them a few breaths to glance in your direction. The first person greets you with a wave of his hand. There are bags under his eyes. His beard is messy. Despite his simple shirt, he's wearing durable, decent boots. A mace with a head covered in iron hangs at his side, but he doesn't reach for it. Take a look at the second soul. Just like you, she's wearing a gambeson, but hers is a bit loose, as if she took it off a corpse. Her head is shaven, as if she's protecting herself from flesh-eating bugs. Her eyes are weary yet kind. She smiles. Considering the squad was sent here half a year ago, these two surely look the part, though there should be more of them. 8, you believe. Let them speak first. It's nice to see an unharmed traveler in this godforsaken shithole. What makes me just a tiny bit hopeful, the bearded man's voice is strong yet timid. You'll be staying the night with us, I guess. We're soldiers, he and I, as the armored woman. Her moment switches from half asleep to relaxed. We'll do our best to keep the camp safe, but if you were to take the first watch, it would be a huge help. Travelers ought to help each other, wouldn't you say? You think for a moment. To fully rest, you need a good sleep. I guess there's just part of me that I don't know these dudes. And are they gonna try and shank me in my sleep? I'm gonna say, I've been traveling all day. They've been sitting on their ass. I'm exhausted. The man looks away. If you say so, you better keep your axe nearby. The nights here can get spooky. I'd say sinister, the other soldier snorts. I asked them about their lieutenant. You wonder how to phrase your question. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. You can sort of choose the personality or the path of how you would address them and talk to them about stuff. Whenever you meet new people, you can influence how they perceive you by selecting an attitude. Friendly, supportive, and cordial. Playful, a joke or witty comment. Distance. Hide your emotions. Intimidating, hint at a threat. Vulnerable, be sad, tired, afraid, or hopeless. I'm thinking playful or friendly. We'll crack a joke. They seem like the type. I'm sure you're busy, so if you could just introduce me to your lieutenant. Oh, I can read what it says too. I was hoping to meet with your lieutenant. Can we talk for a bit? Looking for your lieutenant. I'd rather speak with someone who's not going to waste my time. It's a long journey. I need to have a word with your lieutenant. We'll do this. I'm sure you're busy, so if you could just introduce me to your lieutenant. The armored soldier spares you a polite smile. Next time, better schedule a meeting. This place gets really crowded these days. She stands up. She pays little attention to the sword at her side. I figured you aren't here on a walk. Let's say you need to speak. Wait. Let's say it's me you need to speak with. Are you a messenger? Did you lose your mount? Or are you looking for help? I'm your new Roadwarden. My horse is waiting outside. Really? The soldier in the shirt leans forward. That explains how you got here in one piece, all by yourself. Better bring your beast here, adds the lieutenant. We have no hay, but I bet it dreams of dropping its saddle. A long pause. I'm Tulia, by the way. She reaches out her hand. Maybe a trap. I gesture for the stop, pretend to be embarrassed. I'll shake your hand. I'm Biddle. Her grasp is confident, the shake is slight. Just keep your horse away from the tents, she steps away. We don't need to smell its dung. Ah, there's this one issue. The soldier in the shirt also rises to his feet. With no tent to spare, you'll have to use a blanket or something. No problem, I enjoy observing the stars. You walk through the gate, your mount looks around and snorts anxiously. Not many humans could ride a horse. Interesting. Not many humans could ride a horse. It's not only taller than you, but also bulky, as heavy as it is strong. You can get in the saddle with a single breath, but most people wouldn't know where to even begin. From every side, it's a wall of flesh. Horses were brought to the Dragonwoods from the conquests in the south. They can trot for a long time, but won't outrun some of the local monsters. Your palfrey needs you to survive, but without it, you too would be lost. So horses are very rare. So now I'm afraid these dudes are going to steal it from me. It's my only companion here. I want it to feel at ease. I don't care how it feels. I want it to feel at ease, man. It's my horse. Takes a few steps towards you, scolding you with another snort. You scratch the bottom of its neck with strength and confidence, just the way it likes it. Humans see useful animals and even pets as monsters in disguise. Getting emotionally attached to them is believed to lead humans to their doom. But you know that horses need companionship. Interesting. We're like getting lore secretly in here. Animals and even pets are monsters in disguise. Like, they're very distrusting of even animals. Speak to it gently and lead it to the camp. You end up next to the fire pit. Removing the saddle makes the horse snicker with relief. You take a couple of minutes to examine its back just in case. While the riding equipment is not that heavy for such a strong animal, with enough time it starts to chafe. You wish it had something better to eat than this shabby grass. You should look for an inn. Unpack. Oh. You haven't brought that many things, and you lost one of the sacks while fleeing the Crimson Corpse Eaters. Worst of all, you have no rope left, but maybe the soldiers could share one. Shouldn't cost more than a dragon bone. Aside from the travel set, you own a few valuable possessions, essential for your trade. So I guess it's like a class, and we could learn more about them as well. Interesting. So fighter, I spent my savings on decent combat equipment. I have a fine gambeson, an axe made of steel, and a reliable crossbow with quarrels. Mage. I have talismans that help me use my powers, as well as an iron axe and a worn gambeson. So I'd have like an inferior weapon and armor, but I've got spell casting. Scholar. Carry writing instruments and alchemical ingredients, as well as an iron axe, a worn gambeson, and a healing potion. So I guess this is more potion crafting. I mean, I always like weird spell stuff. So I'm curious to try that. Let's learn more about it, though. As a fighter, you'll have easier time and physical challenges thanks to superior equipment and hidden bonuses during dice rolls. You'll be physically more capable than the other classes, which opens unique opportunities During some social interactions, it's the best class for RPG beginners. The fighter's weakness is their reliance on physical strength. Your special abilities won't be available to you if your vitality points drop to 0. The mage uses Pneuma, a versatile but limited pool of energy points that can be spent to cast a few humble spells. Magic won't protect you better than a sharp axe, but as a mage you'll be able to heal faster while resting, detect magic in a mysterious area, distract a beast with a simple trick, and find a common tongue with other magic users. Using the mage's powers too freely will result in having no Pneuma left when you need it most. The scholar will know more about the world's mysteries than you, helping you take advantage of some unusual situations. Your character will impress the locals with its knowledge, and you'll be able to read the sparse written clues without anyone's assistance. Scholars struggle with combat more than the other classes, but with enough carefulness and exploration, you'll gain access to alchemical mixtures that will help you escape from the many dangerous situations. We could just be a fighter, because it seems the most straightforward, but I also like the idea of both of these, just because they add some like variety to the kinds of things you can do. And the potion thing's kind of cool, but I'll struggle with combat more. Maybe we'll try mage. Armor 2 of 4. Open your inventory to see your possessions. Food rations, dried meat, crackers, nuts, seeds, fruits, and water, which spoil slowly, don't require additional cooking. Pouch with coins. City artisans make coins by cutting dragon bones into slices. They are valued by merchants, though rarely used in the countryside. I have 5 of them. Gambeson padded defensive jacket, made of linen filled with rags. It's the cheapest type of armor, yet surprisingly effective and, as a result, very common. Magical amulets. Magic is unreliable, so you've spent a sack of coins to collect a couple of enhancing amulets. They'll help you focus your Pneuma in ways that you don't quite understand. The travel set. Your sacks contain all sorts of useful tools, and I have a simple battle axe. Traveling with an axe shows that you've learned how to fight humans and human-sized monsters. It's not masterfully made, but it's already been put to test, and you've practiced with it for many days. Journal humans. No soul selected. The city of Havlavan, one of the greatest harbors of the Dragon Woods in the heart of the northwestern province of the 10 cities, was hired by its officials and merchants. Interesting. Oh gosh. I'm not going to read all of these, but we've got information and there's still more to learn about them. I suppose if we encounter something, we can read about it. And we'll learn more about it. Gosh. Atheism. There are plenty of people who don't follow any type of religious beliefs. In some places, atheists are the majority, while others are treated as pagans. Protect themselves by participating in religious rituals despite their lack of conviction. Wow. Okay, so... Wow. There's a lot of lore. Oh, hi. Hello. Welcome. Revealing. I'm real curious about reading all this stuff, but I don't think I want to do it all at once. I think we will as we need to. Playing this game too, just looking around to see what other people think. I just started, but I did play the demo a while back, and I don't know. It's real. I'm real curious about it. It seems really cool, and I'm very interested in like the world it seems to be set in and whatnot. What do you think of it so far? Did I read this yet? I don't think I have. You unpack and inspect your belongings. Your water skin isn't pierced. The spare clothes are still there. Just in case, you take a look at your wooden bowl and mug, your cape, tinderbox, bandages, food rations, knife. Nothing special or too cumbersome. From time to time, your routine helps you avoid mistakes, but this doesn't make it any more exciting. Return to the soldiers. Hey, and thanks for following. I appreciate it. They're at the table again, observing your beast and chatting between themselves. Your stomach growls at the sight of them eating out of wooden bowls. One more bowl was put at a previously unused end of the table. You can sit down on a tree log. Join them and take a look at the meal. I thank them for the meal, but I don't want to eat with them. I sit down and ask Tolia what she can tell me about this area. Ignore the meal, sit down and speak to Tolia. I'll take a look at the meal, I guess. It's cold gruel. Keeping your stomach full will make you stronger. Starvation won't allow you to restore vitality while resting. You can find your supplies in your inventory. Cold gruel. The meal eaten in times of hardship. This specific bowl is filled with water, hog millet, some strange-looking cereals, and blueberries. Excuse me. Welcoming you with a meal, even a humble one, is beyond their duty. Soldiers live with and for their companions, constantly on the move from one part of the realm to another, making sacrifices to protect their group as they face dozens of hideous creatures. Their lives are filled with discipline, hardship, and camaraderie. Roadwardens, on the other hand, learn how to work by themselves. They seldom engage in open combat, patrolling the same roads for years. They help the settlements stay in touch, but also maintain commerce, settle down, forge friendships. When there are no laws to follow, they use their own judgment. Different responsibilities, different lifestyles. It is a lot of text, and you definitely have to be in the right mood to play a game like this. But I enjoy it. It's a little bit harder because I'm streaming it and then I have to read it out loud. Which, if you're not used to talking a lot, that can wear down on you. I eat quickly, not focusing on the taste, and speak with Tolia. So I gained nourishment. I assume if I did not do that, I'd either have to use one of my own rations, or maybe I'd just go hungry. She's focused, and chooses her words carefully. She looks away only when she gathers her thoughts. I'm afraid I could tell you less than I would like to, and less than I should. She nods towards the other soldier. As you can see, there's not a lot of us left. At the beginning of summer, there were 8 of us, including our previous lieutenant. 5 are dead. 1 has run away in tears. We're also strangers in this land. Adds her companion. It's definitely, it grabbed my attention, just the combination of like the story seeming interesting and then the, you got the RPG elements and like the very cool art style. So I thought I don't know. I think it's pretty dang cool. Any piece of information may help me do my job. The man leans forward, his legs shake nervously. He sounds like a kid asking a bard to sing one more story. Tell me a joke or do a magic trick. Whatever it takes to escape from boredom. His untrimmed beard hides a much younger face than you originally thought. What did the officials tell you? I did not expect that much. No soul governs these lands. I share what I consider to be relevant. You tell the soldiers how little guidance you've received, since this area is too far away from Havlavan, which was the city that hired us, I believe. Can I click on these? I can't. Oh, but it didn't go to the... Oh, just right click just takes me to here. I see. Okay, so that's good to know if I want to quickly look something up, though. But yeah, here's this. These are the people that hired us. Been warned it's untamed and unknown. Who knows how many villages, bandits, or monsters may be found in these unmapped hills and forests. From time to time, new people come here to look for boundless opportunities. Most of them never return. Do they turn into walking corpses or find what they're looking for? No soul could tell me, so I was looking for your guidance. Oh man. Before I continue my journey to ask about the peninsula, the Roadwarden, and the rope. The lieutenant drinks from her cup and crosses her legs, ankle on knee. Seeing her chair makes you doubt she'll ever find a comfortable position. Where should we start? What should I know about the peninsula? I'll tell you what I know, and you'll be the judge, says the lieutenant. How long did it take you to get here from the city? On a decent palfrey. Excuse me. I'd suggest it would be 3-4 days. When you confirm, she continues. From here you can reach the coast in about a day, as long as you don't make any stops. Do you know the situation? Why no ships can get here? You nod. The sea route allows Havelvan officials to keep in touch with the coastal villages, collect taxes, move the soldiers, collect lumber, deliver tools. But maintaining order on a wild coast such as this one is like filling the ocean depths with coins. Because of the rocks, you can hardly stop a ship 5 miles from the shore, and boats can't get much closer. She nods. I don't know much about fishing, but there's not that many people living by the shore. They don't crave to stay in touch with the city folk. As she pauses, her companion carries on. No soul from the north ever came to the camp, but when we traveled to the roadside inn, Pelt of the North, they're happy to trade and to play dice. I suppose, will that get added to my stuff as I do things, I guess, but I don't know. Why not just stay at one of the settlements? Oh gosh. The man clears his throat. I mean, we're to guard this road, and this camp is our post. And, well, he turns towards Talia. She lowers her voice. Don't take it the wrong way, Biddle, but are you a devout soul? Oh gosh. Huh. Like most city folk, I believe that people should unite their strength to overcome the threats of nature and dark magic. Everyone will be judged for both good and evil deeds, a part of the United Church. I'm wondering, is it worthwhile to read about this stuff? You've chosen to be pagan. I saw these were in here, and I don't remember all the details of it. The tablets tell stories about the extraordinary leaders who inspire and lead their tribes to greatness safely. They are warriors, blacksmiths, and builders who raised new villages and temples or gain access to rare resources. The United Church, or the Unites, is the largest, the richest, and the most unified organization in the North, and is tightly connected to the politics of the cities. It has strict hierarchies of power, traditionally with an emperor or empress at the top. For hundreds of years, it was the church's duty to record the government's activities and create rules and laws enforced by the city officials. Strong laws, hierarchies, and strong leaders are considered to be valuable in and of themselves. The powerful cities are meant to juxtapose the wild, dangerous forests that can never be trusted, only conquered. It claims to reflect the image of a deer, the greatest leader in the north. The grand temples of the United Church can be found in every city and are the cultural centers of the entire province, using their weapons and spectacular art to maintain their rank. Various ceremonies, songs, prayers, and holidays help to unify the spread communities with shared traditions, values, and hatred. It teaches that believers should follow their priests without question. It extinguishes all sorts of heretic or foreign beliefs. It persecutes pagans, necromancers, and blood sorcerers, the so-called disruptors of peace, forcing them to live outside the city walls. Temples develop their own military squads, sending them to villages or road chapels, protecting the locals and travelers from the undead and beasts or cremating their corpses. Since the southern invasion has reduced the church's power, many communities see the lack of these fighters as a worthy trade for restoring their independence. Unites also have a long history of corruption, manipulation, coercion, and nepotism. The priests and priestesses designed many laws to maintain their influence and develop connections for the sake of their own families, offspring, and friends. In most cities, the priesthood doesn't even pretend to be impartial. So that's the United Church. What was the Order of Truth? Was that in here? Order of Truth. The River of Truth. The tablets portray people pursuing knowledge of both spiritual and physical worlds. They rarely focus on children, instead describing experienced, mature people looking for wisdom, contemplating their faith, exploring philosophical ideas, or inventing new technology. Sages, wizards, herbalists, and inventors. The Orders of Truth, known as the Seekers, had no interest in pursuing political power or gathering wealth. Instead of creating hierarchies of priests and priestesses, they invited everyone or anyone ready to abandon their personal possessions, or in some cases even their families, to live in small communities focused on gathering knowledge, creating and copying handwritten books, developing new technologies, exploring art, and studying medicine, alchemy, or magic. While these gatherings, later known as the Orders, were focused on different activities, they were ready to share their knowledge with each other and support themselves in times of need. At first, the United Church allowed the Seekers to carry on with their research. After a couple of centuries, some orders gathered large collections of priceless books and talented artisans, able to sell their works at huge prices. The Unites tried to force them to adapt the traditional structures and join the priesthood, as well as share their riches and knowledge with the grand temples. The orders refused, engaging in a long political conflict. Some monasteries were forced to succumb to the law, while others moved to rural areas, trying to live in harmony with the villages, willing to exchange supplies for their knowledge and artisanship. A couple of the orders turned out to be influential and powerful enough to stay in the cities after all. Their large monasteries are generously rewarded for their abilities, but their knowledge is veiled in secrecy, securing the position of those who have access. The monks aren't explorers. They usually stay in their strongholds, only sometimes organizing expeditions to gather information and resources that can't be obtained otherwise, or to transport books or goods for sale. The orders don't keep military squads, but the monasteries settled in rural areas are well protected or even fortified. The Seekers portray nature as a mysterious force, a realm where the ancient heroes were illuminated by the right, or understand the secrets of life and magic. While they condemn necromancy and blood sorcery, they don't alienate themselves from the pagan tribes, considering them to be lost rather than wicked. At the same time, they express contempt towards the United Church, portraying it as a spiritually hollow and too invested in political intrigue and violence. They had mixed feelings towards emperors and empresses, but remained loyal to the military authority. So that's kind of a little in between. You don't hate on the pagans, just the necromancers and stuff. And rather than being purely antagonistic to nature, you're more like, it's more of a mysterious thing. They mentioned Adir. Over 1,500 years, Adir was one of the many chieftains aiming to unite the nearby tribes, though he was the first one who managed to establish an alliance with the clans of the Growing Mountains. Adir's army gained access to steel equipment, which allowed him to dominate more villages than any leader before him. After a few spectacular conquests that helped him grow and feed his army, another dozen chiefs agreed to assist his campaign and provide him with recruits and supplies in exchange for their survival and partial independence. Adair became the ruler of the first major province, and the influence of his tribe's religion kept growing as the first laws were based upon the values presented in the tablets. During the next 5 centuries, the emperors and empresses conquered new grounds, dividing the lands north of the growing mountains into 10 provinces, all of which were following the teachings of the United Church, the religion led by the imperial court. And some people don't follow anything. Fellowship was one from small village for me. The freedom of a shell, Newman, soul are the main virtues of life. My community is unique and independent. So are its members. I have place in the fellowship. Gosh. There is a lot of reading in this game, but it's all very interesting. I'm like, I've been playing this game for not quite an hour yet, but I haven't left like the first little area because I'm just learning, which is fine. I'm also trying to stuff my face with food in the moment. Fellowships, the river of freedom. You know what? See, this is the river of truth. River of order. So they're all rivers. I wonder if that has to do with anything. River of freedom. The tablets tell stories about the people who pursue strong morals and try to free themselves from malice. About simple humans doing their best to live an honest and pious life. As the tribes bring their own doom through greed and ignorance, these stories focus on the importance of an average person, a priceless member of a larger community. Fellowships, or the Eremites, are present in the villages, especially those that are not too fond of the United Church or decided to cut any ties to the city. They are in no way a unified organization, as each one of them holds a different set of beliefs and traditions, focused on the value of independence of an individual. So far, personally, I'm liking the sound of this one. But what I do for my character may be different. I don't know. It depends on how I want to play it. They believe that the tablets were meant to help people live in small gatherings focused on humble existence and piety, and adapting the laws to the needs of the greater good. The fellowships often consider the cities to be a parody of the right's will, a result of the blind lust for power, a prison for the human shell and soul. The longer the fellowships stay independent, the more they merge their beliefs with pagan practices. The Eremites seek freedom in all forms. They want to be free from sin, independent from the cities, and to create their own stories and ideas. They consider the orders of truth to be too cryptic and enigmatic, too obsessed with proving that their truth is the only one that matters, while the fellowships hold rights tablets in great esteem and consider them to be the greatest source of knowledge. They don't try to explain all of their nuances, focusing mostly on the most practical advice and directions. Fellowships have no significance in grand politics and hold little power. Every church is unique, and even if a few of them find common ground, they never unite for long enough to finish any larger endeavor, usually collapsing and dividing themselves once they grow. Many of them are directly responsible for breaking tribes into smaller ones. At the same time, they can be essential for survival. Their priests aim to spend their entire life in a single village, teaching kids interested in reading and guiding the locals through ceremonies. But on the other hand, some communities are controlled by corrupt, despotic religious figure. That's not good. The Eremites see the wilderness as part of life, but separate from their spirituality. They try to influence their surroundings and live in harmony with it, but are much more pragmatic in their approach than those who follow other rivers of faith. What about the pagans? Strong connection with nature and spirits and follow the path of my ancestors. Some of my beliefs may be considered sinister and treacherous by the city folk. You'd probably call me a pagan. Rites. Can we read about what the heck a rite is? Rite in the sacred tablets. Rites followers see other religions as paganism. The United Church oppressed pagans' beliefs in many ways, including military raids. Some areas, especially the villages set far away from the cities, still follow the beliefs of their ancestors. Even if they have to keep it a secret, some of them are indeed limited to a single tribe. But there are also popular ideas that reappear in various shapes across the entire realm. Some communities praise minor deities connected to specific trees, hills, or rivers, while others tend to focus on living in harmony with nature or on practicing strict sets of rules, following an archaic, conservative lifestyle. Even though most pagans condemn blood sorcery, it's common for shamans, druids, and witches to practice necromancy. Some practices can get dark. Animal or human sacrifices are considered especially appalling. The number of pagan settlements, as well as those that merge paganism with the teachings of fellowships, has been increasing ever since the Southern invasion reduced the influence of the United Church. Settlers from the South also bring their own traditions. Pagans' pyres. Rites followers cremate the shells to stop them from awakening. The burning ceremonies are practiced in many forms, sometimes highly ritualized, even though rites tablets depict them rather vaguely as something simple and pragmatic. It's common for pagans to bury the shells instead, or even embrace the art of necromancy and use the dead to take care of mundane tasks. Interesting. People of the land see a correlation between magic and breath. They also describe all living creatures as empty shells filled with pneuma, the life force sustained by breathing. They believe that creatures who use magic do so because of their souls, a unique identity held in their shells, which turns pneuma into something greater. That's why the entirety of magic is used through speech and breathing. Thus, all living creatures use pneuma, but only a few are the soul carriers, humans and spirits, such as the deities living in the forest, demons, or ghosts. But only a few are the soul carriers, humans and spirits. So essentially animals don't have souls, essentially. That's what we're learning here. All of these ideas are in some way lacking when they are confronted with reality. Some believe that dragons, goblins, beast folk, or howlers do possess a soul, while others distinguish between souls of a higher or lower rank. It's not clear why some humans can cast spells by gestures alone, or why animals don't rise as the undead, or why a small number of humans can't use magic at all, while the others have unusual talents. The various views and interpretations are not just a part of an advanced theological debate, but also shape stories and laws. Rites churches don't consider magic to be different from any other human activity, while minor religions believe that it's either an essential part of nature or a divine domain. Spirits. Oh, okay, here's the river thing we were talking about. Huh. Before the ancient stories were written down, they were present as loose tales spread around by word of mouth, constantly changing their form and meaning. Invention of the sophisticated writing system allowed for the creation of a canonical set of stories. But even in the days of Adir, there existed multiple sources and variants that did not portray a cohesive system of beliefs. Their symbols were also not understood clearly outside of Adir's tribe. After another few centuries, they additionally lost their historical context. 3 major doctrines were born during the first 500 years of the 10 cities. These rivers of faith are focused on different virtues taught by rites tablets. While every doctrine accepts that other rivers have value, they vary when it comes to prioritizing them and build unique narratives about the ethics and purpose of human life. According to tradition, the River of Order is attached to the United Church, River of Truth to the Orders, the River of Freedom to the Fellowships. Winged hourglass, the most common holy symbol used in the North, representing the vanity and triviality of life. It decorates jewelry, tombstones, and weapons. The most appreciated are the ones made of animal bones or high-quality steel. Wright's tablets were written almost 2,000 years ago by many authors. After 500 years, Adair I, emperor, turned some of them into a collection of religious teachings. The Right is the monotheistic god described in the Wright's tablets. They tell about superhuman deeds of colorful heroes struggling with symbolic challenges and creatures. They don't focus on a specific ethnic group and were created when the northern tribes were still far from forming shared identities. The tablets also don't explain much about the creation, purpose, or destiny of the world, focusing more on daily life and ethics. The passage of time and the complexity of these sources makes them confusing, almost incomprehensible, and they often contradict each other. The churches put a lot of effort into analyzing them, yet often disagree on even the most basic topics. The teachings most priests agree on are that the right is the only God who fills human shells with souls. It's willing to forgive human wrongdoings, and one decides to turn away from their evil deeds and bases their lives on truth, kindness, and justice. The value of one's life is not grand, thus every believer ought to be ready to sacrifice their life in the name of what's right and listen to the right's will. Just as the heroes of the tablets did, all humans will be judged by their deeds both in this life and after death. Golly. Undead controlled by necromancers are obedient, but once their owner loses consciousness, outside of falling asleep or dies, the corpses they control are set free and filled with the desire to murder as many humans as they can for the rest of eternity and feast on their blood. Yeesh. As a result, overly ambitious necromancers are condemned by their communities. I'm not going to read much else, but we do have to decide. There's part of me that kind of wants to just do like United Church and just be like, heck with these pagans, man. Let's just do that. A fellow unite, the man smiles. Though in this land it won't bring you much good. At least we can discuss the topic freely, as to a tenant with a barely visible smile. Let's get into it. The people here are disquieting. Every few words she taps the table with her finger. Their traditions won't help them negotiate with the officials. Here. She starts to draw lines with her index finger, as if she's pointing at an invisible map. The peninsula is connected with roads, like a big circle. In the northwest, you'll find a weird village at a bog. It's not exactly pagan. I don't think so. It even has a priest who claims to be an eremite, which are the free folk people, if I recall correctly. Nunachi means a fellowship. They do crazy shit, her companion chips in. They use the dead to cut down trees and dig in soil. Once I saw it, I begged to never return there. What did I choose? I just picked the United Church. Which might be a poor decision. I don't know. But at least for role-playing sake, I like the idea of just being like a bigot, I guess. Screw nature, man. You've heard tales such as this one since you were a child. If an isolated settlement manages to survive without a city's influence, its customs and traditions grow more and more alien. Every generation learns how to adapt to the dangerous conditions they have to deal with, and the rustic pagan traditions muddy their river of faith. The United Church often warns its members about the crazy druids, necromancers and blood mages, the bringers of doom, traitors to mankind. Were you able to speak with these necromancers? You can see why we were not eager to go there if we could avoid it. The lieutenant chuckles. Maybe they'll be more welcoming to a road warning. The roads are dangerous with little to no shelters. People need your help. The man in the shirt turns a bit and points a finger to the northwest. You're heading to the undead village. You'll get to an inn first, and soon. Talia nods. Hell to the north is a safe place. You can talk with the innkeep or the guards. Ask them about the road. What about to the east? She stares off across the camp. Hard to tell. We went there only once. There are hills, forests, rivers. We saw a tunnel sculpted in leaves and branches, but we didn't enter it. Wilderness all around. Any monsters worth mentioning? Anything that could catch my mount? We saw all sorts of beasts. The man starts to count his fingers. Goblins, treants, cats large and small, runners, howlers, wolves, spiked boars, mufflin eaters, griffins, but we managed to stay away. Some could catch up with most mounts. Talia glances at her companion. Well, Palfrey should be fine. Trees are so tall that flying creatures keep to the coast and mountains. There's not that many humans around, and the animals are busy fighting amongst themselves. They fight more for food than territory. The soldier cracks his knuckles. Don't provoke them and ride fast. Just count on luck. That's all I need to know. What happened to the previous Roadwarden? Elliot takes a deep breath. Aren't you a bit late for a rescue mission? We haven't heard from him for almost half a year. The soldiers speak for a bit between themselves, trying to get their story straight. They confirmed that he had stopped by their camp a few times, but stopped showing up at all in early summer. The bearded soldier starts to scratch the table with the tip of his knife without looking at you. I don't remember his voice. Always busy, drowning in things to take care of. He would sit somewhere, sharpen his sword, fix his loud mail, clean clothes, write notes on that wax tablet of his. Yep, and leave at dawn. Unlike us, Asterion never gets bored. Talia lets out a joyless chuckle. He's secretive, but some of the locals speak about him warmly. Maybe he just doesn't like us. Sounds like you're not sure if he's dead or not. If anyone knows, they won't tell us. Maybe someone is keeping him in a basement. The man carves with passion. We haven't seen him or his saurian. Something ate them, I bet. The officials have hired you, right? They don't expect him to return. Richer road wardens often used four-legged, meat-eating saurians as their mounts. They have to be tamed and trained since they're hatching, but unlike horses, can easily defend themselves from many monsters. At least your palfrey is fast and reliable and won't suddenly sink its teeth into an innocent passerby. You know what you're looking for? Maybe he left you a message. You know what he was looking for. Neither of us had any insight into his dealings, says Talia. My predecessor left me no clues. We also took a look at Asterion's stuff. Wait. She raises her open palm. I almost forgot. She stands up and heads to a nearby tent. He has kids in a village near Havelvan. I was planning to take all his things there. A pouch, a second spear, a decent bow, some potions. Quite a treasure. She glances at you. But I would much prefer to bring them the truth about their father. So you want me to find out what happened to him in exchange for his stuff? Here's the catch. She dusts off the hilt of her sword. We've hired a messenger to ask the commanders for future orders. Since she hasn't returned and you know nothing about her, she either ran away or something else happened to her. She sighs with resignation. We are meant to stay here until fall. What do you think? Come see us, tell us what you've learned about the man, and we'll get back to Havelvan together? You think about your real mission. You were planning to return to Havelvan in the early fall anyway. If he's alive, I don't think he's going to be happy about me taking away all of his possessions. Find the Roadwarden. A man named Asterion used to patrol these roads. If I find out what happened to him and bring the news to Tullia in the southern camp, I'll receive his abandoned belongings. True, but he's considered dead. I doubt he'll spare you anything. And who knows, you may just find his shell lying on the roadside tomorrow. He wears mail, uses a spear, mostly. Maybe 5 feet tall, but stout. Long red beard, short hair. Pale face, rarely smiles. Are the people all, like, short in this world? Or is it just this guy's really short? She glances at her companion, but after he adds nothing, she sits down and stretches out her legs. So find out what happened to him. Dead, alive, left, just let me know. If they are short, that might explain why the horse is such a monster. I've lost my rope. Can you spare one? You're in luck. She heads towards one of the crates and moves aside a large linen sack, revealing a rope. She brings it back and nonchalantly sits down on her chair. Take it. I was planning to leave it behind. Take a closer look. A fine rope. 5 for 0. Interesting. So I could just take it, or I could give her some of my food. I wonder what that'll do. I don't think I can spare my food, so I'm gonna just take it. Tullia nods. For now, you leave the rope on the table. What happened to your squad? The man shrugs. Bandits happened in monsters. A strong band, though, his companion chips in. When we got to the peninsula in spring, we saw some people living in this camp. The lieutenant decided to avoid it and look for an inn. We had to travel through the night for a bit. The bearded soldier scoffs and crosses his arms, but she carries on. If he had decided otherwise, we would all have died that day. The innkeeper explained that the camp is a trap, that the armed ones who pretend to be soldiers stay there at night, lose everything you have. Camp is a trap that armed ones pretend to be soldiers, stay there at night and lose everything you have. Sounds like slave hunters. I had to read that again to understand what was going on. Tullia sighs. Very much so. They killed some and took others away. Who knows where. They were letting the northerners go, hoping to avoid their wrath. It kind of worked, adds the soldier. We asked them for help, but they refused. We had to clear the entire camp on our own, and that's why 3 of our people died. Don't exaggerate. It's not like the lieutenant didn't make a mistake. He wanted to get rid of them and take over their camp. But we didn't know the enemy well enough. We were outnumbered, and they had an ice mage among them. She looks at you. At least we cleared the road, saved lives. You mentioned monsters as well. Nothing that would surprise you. Those of us who survived the skirmish were young, too inexperienced to spend a summer in this place without a good leader, and they didn't trust me. One of them got caught by a treant. Another one ignored my orders to perform some sort of ritual hunt, so a werebear tore her to pieces. The last one tried to act tough, didn't tell us that he had cut his hand while cleaning his gambeson. She let out a ghastly chuckle. We had to cut it off, and he was so ashamed he decided to walk north, find a new life, disappear. Idiot. What a colorful journey. The man tries to drink from his mug, but it's empty. You've made this place safer. Barely. Tullia seems tired. Who knows if it was worth the lives and effort. How'd you become the lieutenant? Not much of a story, honestly. She looks at her hand, which is currently rolling a mug over the table. In the city, there's a strict order of, what should I call it? She exchanges looks with her companion, but he can't help her. Well, leadership succession, I guess. Havelvin chief selects commanders, those select lieutenants, and those put their soldiers in an order of priority. If a lieutenant dies, they get replaced by the next soldier in line. So you were his successor? Nah, not exactly. When we fought the bandits, our lieutenant was hit by a slingshot. His boyfriend jumped to help him, but failed to protect either of them from a spell. It was like a ball of ice that hung above them and exploded, piercing their heads, completely avoiding their shield. Really unpleasant. She pauses. Jumping like that to save a man in the middle of an attack doesn't sound like a wise decision. I agree, but so what? He's dead. I doubt he's going to learn much from scolding. And you were the third one in line, is that right? Basically, yeah, she says without enthusiasm. I didn't plan to become leader, though. I'll get demoted once we return to the city. I prefer to follow anyway. What was your squad's mission? Lieutenant looks to your eyes. You know, the usual. Making the roads safe, keeping people alive. Explain that it may be important for me to know what they have tried to accomplish. I can't really tell you. Let's just say it would be nice to have a reliable outpost here somewhere nearby. A place where you can always find a group of fighters willing to protect you in the name of the law. She tilts her head back. Now, if you have any other questions... Anything I should know about this camp? The story is brief. Some merchants built the camp to have an extra stop for mules and donkeys just between the inn and the southern villages. There's plenty of grass here and a pond nearby. When the peninsula grew more dangerous, the camp stood abandoned, from time to time serving as a shelter for travelers. The bandits came here in spring, further paralyzing the exchange of information between the northern and southern settlements. Since these highwaymen are no more, the situation may reverse. Time will tell. You can sleep here wherever you want, the man concludes their tale. I don't expect to wake up without a pain in your back. If you were me, where would you go next? The soldier answers quickly. To the inn, of course. He grabs his empty mug. The one northwest from here. Can't afford the room. Main hall is free of charge. The locals rarely gather there. The northern road is much more traveled, mentions Talia. But the hunters will tell you about this and that, and you'll have a chance to introduce yourself. An innkeeper can listen and knows many souls. Any tips on how I can make a good first impression? She smirks. Avoid cheap jokes, stick to trade, don't waste his time. Show him that you can be relied on. It's getting late, we should prepare for the night. I agree, Talia sighs with relief. May you do better than Asterion did. Stay vigilant. She winks at you, shattering the mask of a soldier. Thank you for your help. Appearance. Stay tidy to have a better chance to influence others. You go to the barrel and splash water in your face, so it makes you even more aware of how much you need a bath. After the night, it will only get worse. Your horse is already napping, still too anxious to lay down. I look for a place protected from the wind. I use my bag as a pillow, put my blanket on the ground, and cover myself with my cloak. You aren't used to sleeping in such harsh conditions, but it's better than nothing. The weather is gentle. Maybe you won't catch a cold. The stars instantly inspire your dreams, both with their splendor and by making you look for patterns and shapes among them. Your job starts tomorrow. Focus on the real goal of my journey. Explore the peninsula. The Merchant Guild wants to take control of this realm. Your wardening duties are secondary. First and foremost, you need to explore the peninsula. Learn about the territory, resources, and threats. Get to know the locals, and if you can, convince them to consider negotiations with Havelven officials and traders. Could the tribes resist the soldiers or be a threat to the priests of the United Church? Are there any forbidden practices that need to be eradicated, such as blood magic, necromancy, robbery, or slavery? At least I have time. 40 days to be exact. I need to be as thorough as I can. Once you finish your reconnaissance, you should speak with Talia and return to Havelven. There you'll report back to your employers and get your reward. In the meantime, you have your own goal to pursue. Gather some extra coins so I can help a person I care about. Need to gather some extra coins so I can retire early and live in prosperity and safety. If I gather enough connections among local leaders, I'll use them to become a major player in the Merchant Guild. I want to be remembered as the soul who brought peace and order to this realm, a hero. I want to help people, make this region safer for the locals and newcomers alike. I need a new life for myself. I have a difficult past and want to be forgotten. I think I'm gonna go one of these two. Let's be a hero. Become a hero. Remembered as the soul brought peace and order to this realm. I have to leave the peninsula on the 40th day of my journey or sooner. Your half-asleep senses are catching the sounds of the wild forest. I was getting distracted by this. You can't travel during the night. Press the sleep button to rest. All the roars, whimpers, howls, and singing, your instincts keep you alert and anxious. Though the unpleasant, humid, late summer air evens it out slowly. You're thinking about your goal, but you need to gather your strength. Sleep. Sleeping on the ground. So I'll lose vitality, food, and cleanliness. But I'll gain whatever this is. My magic. Is that what that is? Blanket won't be much of a bed. The palisade barely covers you from the wind. Sleeping here will be severely uncomfortable. Numa. You're a wizard, Harry. Yes, exactly. You can use your magical amulet to cast minor spells. You take a look at your amulets. For most people, they would be nothing more than trash, but you wouldn't sell them for a pouch of dragon bones. You use them to shape Numa to your will. With these little mementos, the few spells you're familiar with are far more reliable. Who knows, maybe there's already some power held in them. You look at the old, though clean bandages that remember dozens of herbal balms and wounds. You could put them on your hurting muscles, bruises, and scratches, then hum an old song about time, which either heals all wounds or kills us too soon to let us bother with our problems. After a few hours or so, the linen will warm up, confirming it did its job. Maybe it will even out the pain of sleeping on the ground, though you'd lose some of your energy. Yeah, all the music and sort of sound it's added a lot to the just atmosphere. So essentially, if I do this, it will potentially negate some of the negative stuff. But I'll have only 1 out of 5. Numa. I can see both sides. I'll save it. Which may be unfortunate. You're surrounded by sunlight. Your back begs you to stand up. Before you fully wake up, you smell a roast. No, burning meat. Burning, rotten meat. Disgust crawls towards your consciousness. For a second, I thought they were eating my horse. You stand up. Normally, you would dust off your cape and blanket, but your instincts are stronger than your routine. Your horse is looking around nervously. Your bags are where you'd left them. You see an open gate. Go outside and see what's happening. Both soldiers are standing near a humble pyre. The man in the shirt looks at it contemplatively. Talia is the first one to address you. Fiddle, she greets with a nod. We used the horse's manure for the flames, so don't worry about cleaning it up. You see a corpse among the flames. It's impossible to tell if it belongs to a male or female, but it was an adult. The burning process won't be over for a couple more hours. Traveler or an undead? The latter. A young one. She lacked the pneuma to understand that she couldn't get inside the camp without climbing. I stabbed her with a spear from a safe distance. She shifts her weight. One more fog and she'd be a real threat. Even now, it took a couple of hits to knock her down. Sooner or later, every human shell wakes up, gaining more strength with each soul it devours, and each moment it spends in the fogs. Burning the dead is not just a religious practice, it's a necessity. Soldiers, priests, village mayors, even road wardens, making a large pyre takes a lot of time, but it saves lives. Talia calls this undead a she. Most Unites hesitate to do so. So that's messed up. All people eventually come back as undead. And this also makes me wonder if Talia is actually a Unite or whatever. Time for me to leave. Running away from the reek, huh? I don't blame you. She walks with you for a few steps. Find us here if you need us, or if you learn what happened to Asterion. There's enough ground here for you to rest. Safe travels. These words make you stop. An old farewell mocked a number of songs and tales, but yet you hear no scorn in Talia's voice. Wonder how many acts of kindness like this one you're going to experience in the days to follow. She returns to the pyre. I prepare myself for the journey. You gather your equipment and spend half an hour warming up and preparing your mount, double checking the buckled straps. You put on your gambeson to make sure your axe is tightly attached to your belt and get in the saddle. The palfrey knickers ready to leave. It's time for you to get to the crossroads north from here. Yeah, based on everything I was seeing, it's almost like... Yeah, it's not just like a religious thing. They'll burn whoever they have to in order to avoid them coming back, but then like the pagans will just bury people. I guess almost expecting them to come back. I don't know. Aha. Travel forward to continue your journey. Once you're done with the north, speak to Talia and return to Hovelvin. Nighttime shelter. Even at a later hour, you wouldn't expect to meet any travelers in the valley. The warm summer breeze lures your mount forward, but the serene chirping of birds is quickly replaced by the distracting screeches and gurgles coming further down the path. You soon find a pack of four-legged griffins. Ooh. They're larger than foxes and merge the feathers of birds and furred beasts. Each one is of a different size, coat, and colors, and their temperaments are just as varied. Their fronts are covered in vivid feathers, while their rears have darker fur. Their wings are massive, making them impressive jumpers, but they're too heavy to fly. About 24 beasts are yelling, brawling, and chasing each other around, blocking your path. Consider my options. The dice icon marks the actions that involve a random chance. can't enter the forest blindly. If these or other creatures were to chase after you, the thicket would be disastrous for your horse. There are reasons travelers stay as close to the main roads as possible, and why adventurers move in groups. Usually the safest approach will be to stay where you are and just wait for the pack to get hungry. It may, however, take up to a couple of hours. You're thinking about your conversation with Talia. You've got a lot to do, and time may be of the essence. Give enough Pneuma, you can cast spells to access unique interactions. Spell. Grab an amulet and shape a missile of light. A harmless flare will frighten them off. Sure, that seems like a good idea. I cast magic missile at the darkness. You can learn more about your abilities in the character sheet. You grab one of your oldest amulets, a pendant made of leather and a single dim pearl. The little sphere is covered by cryptic engravings, but if there's any special meaning behind them, you were never able to find out what it could be. Holding the pearl between your fingers, you feel the pleasant, familiar warmth. The spell you're about to cast is not much more than a mere illusion, but you take a couple of breaths trying to minimize any risk of failure. The Pneuma leaves your shell, formed into a white ball that you barely comprehend. When it falls next to the griffins for a couple of blinks, it emanates dazzling light. The animals squeak and snarl, fleeing in multiple directions at once. The road is now clear. Perfect. What is my character stuff here? Biddle the Roadwarden. After years of practicing with axes and magical amulets, to be remembered as the hero who brought peace and order to this realm. Whenever you go to sleep, you can spend Pneuma to restore your vitality. You can spend Pneuma to overcome challenges with wands and amulets. Pneuma, vitality, nourishment, armor. I'm unclean. Combat experience, spared animals, religion. Faith, undetermined. The strength of your religious conviction is measured by your actions and judgments. Lies. Lying gives you quick benefits, but may turn against you for some time. Some lies are difficult to pull off for an unexperienced liar. Interesting. Sewing and gambling. Interesting. We should save, maybe. Let's save. Road is now clear. I ride forward, enjoy the touch of my pendant. It cools slowly. I got an achievement. Reach the first crossroads. The road splits. According to what the soldiers have told you, you may find a safe inn by turning left. The forest to the right is lush, and the trail overgrown. Kids used to have this song. How did it go? Harshest pathway leads to the dragon's lair. Those who search for treasure, do you truly dare? The signpost in front of you doesn't make your situation much clearer. It was put here by someone who can't write. For folks who can't read, covered in old red paint, it points east. Blood there, as people say. Danger to be found. There's not a soul to ask for guidance. I look at my horse. What's its name? Oh gosh. What would I name my horse? Body. Peabody is peaceful as you stroke its mane. Maybe it can't help you choose a path, but you spent many years together. Happy to go on, it takes a couple of steps forward. You spot a few berry shrubs and wild cabbages, but they still need at least 2 weeks to gain maturity. I wonder if that's actually like useful information that I can come back in a couple of weeks and like harvest this stuff. Time to make a turn. I'm definitely curious what's east. Everyone keeps telling me to go west. Screw it. Curvy road east is overgrown. Peabody trots when it has a chance, but more often it walks, forced to jump over larger branches blocking the path. The nearby lake is surrounded by thirsty wildlife. I observe the dark forest ready to react if something jumps at me. You have to delve into the dangerous lands. The greatest risks, the greatest rewards. A couple of stone slabs were turned into a hut-like shape. One of the ancient chapels, raised by the priests of the United Church in the days of few soldiers, even fewer shelters. Wonderful. The dolmens proved to be especially durable, though the conditions they offered were harsh. The entrance is barely wide enough to let you walk inside. It was meant to keep larger beasts away, including your palfrey. You can't spend the night here. You dismount and look around. Approach the hourglass, carved into stone. It's the most common religious sign of the city folk, adapted by the United Church, the Orders of Truth, and the majority of fellowships. It's used in temples and during the funeral rites, but also to decorate codices or jewelry. The winged hourglass portrays the ephemerality of life and the rigidity of time. When possible, they're made of steel, signifying the strength of humankind's determination and innovation. As a member of the United Church, it's my duty to touch the hourglass and pray I was meant to come this way. The stone welcomes your open palm coldly. The hourglass doesn't start to shine. The birds don't cease their singing. There's no incense inviting you into the chapel. Yet, once you close your eyes, gather your thoughts, and rub the sacred sign with your fingers, your soul is focused and tranquil, as if awakened after a long rest. Your prayer is built from phrases that you've heard repeated dozens of times by the priests. Some words come straight from your heart. When you ask for the right's guidance, you feel invigorated. So be it, you conclude, as tradition has taught you. After my prayer, I step away. Peabody is observing the area. Enter the chapel. The beams of light get through the gaps between the rocks, but you can hardly see anything. A torch would fill the place with smoke, but a candle will suffice. You wonder how many travelers were sitting on the cold rock, observing the entrance and fighting with their heavy eyelids. Have I played thief? Yes. You wonder how many travelers sit in cold rock observing the entrance and fighting with their heavy eyelids. I look around. What are you looking for or paying attention to? Interesting. Stone. Even though the part of the ground is covered with a single massive slab, there are parts free of any flooring. You see soil, small rocks, sand. One spot, you see the remains of charred wood. Look for something else. Is there something to find here? Yeah, Thief is one of my favorite games, and I like going back to it fairly often. But I was saying to another guy in here earlier, Nightmare Thief, that I also like playing a lot of variety of games too, so I'm always happy to find new cool indie games, especially. Sounds. I wonder if is there anything to find, I guess. Yeah, he was asking about night that was Nightmare Thief. Asked about Dark Mod, which I'm not a big Dark Mod fan, but it's still cool to see people playing that and making content for it. Maybe there's nothing to find, I don't know. Other floors, the litter remains of an old campfire, not more than a couple months old. You see dust, burnt bones, and wood. Burnt bones and wood. Soot. Can I clear the soot? There's a sticky soot on the walls. Parts of it cover black marks and pictures, possibly letters. Letters. Interesting. A large part of the wall is covered with engravings. It's difficult to figure out what they are meant to portray, but one picture is obvious to you, a long arrow pointing down. Parts of the writing, as well as a nearby wall, are covered in soot. I wonder if you were a sage kind of guy, if you could read these. Can I dig? Or look at the arrow? A large arrow pointing down. And I looked at the soot, right? That's... Huh. Bones. Old campfire, dust, burnt bones, and wood. Dust. Engravings. A long arrow pointing down. You stomp in a couple of spots and don't hear any direct response. If there's anything below this chapel, it must be under a thick layer of soil and rocks. Peabody. So bone used a thread, iron knife, blade sharpener, tinderbox, candles, bunch of rags that make torches, a flask of oil, protective gloves made of thick oil, or leather, I should say. I suppose it can't just tell it to dig. Maybe I have to come back here with maybe I can find a shovel or something. Maybe I need a tool to do this. Because I was looking in here, I don't have any digging stuff. So maybe this is something I have to come back. Because what did it say when I say down? Under a thick layer of... I must need a shovel. So maybe we gotta come back another time. leaning against the wall, napping. Unless you have to come at a different part of the day or something, too. I don't know. But I'm guessing I need to find a tool. Travel time 45 minutes. The neglected path barely finds any space among all the hills, trees, and streams. There's a deer on the ground lying in a red puddle surrounded by a small pack of creatures which notice your presence quickly. Uh-oh. There's about 8 of them, with thick furs in shades of brown, gray, and black, and hairless faces with small eyes and large mouths, apparently stained by the blood of their prey. Some of them move on all fours, while others comfortably stand on 2 feet. There are 2 or 3 heads shorter than you, but it's your mount which truly towers over them. And you see how a couple of the beasts take a few steps back, grunting and glancing at one another. The one with gray fur shouts, and the others move for the rocks and sticks which are piled on the road. They hold them awkwardly, and some struggle to maintain a straight posture, waiting on their new weapons for support. Then almost all of them spread to your left and right, blending with the shrubs loudly. Only 2 of the apes are standing still. Are they actually apes or are they goblins? Furry critters can move on both on 2 legs and all 4s, and while they resemble apes, they spend most of their time on the ground, capable of hunting for their prey and seeking new temporal shelters. Many people, both in the monasteries of the Orders of Truth and at the marketplaces, argue how smart a goblin can really get. It's clear that they could fight with a pointed stick or pick up an abandoned sword, but it looks like they can't even start their own fire nor speak. Nevertheless, some people call their lairs camps. Gosh. I mean, I think I have no choice but to face these villains. Grab my axe and hold the reins tightly. I don't have a crossbow. Peabody tries to turn around, but loyally follows your directions. Throw them some food. Look behind me just to make sure they're not already there. You threatening swings, focusing my attention on the beasts that enter the forest, dismount and prepare for combat. Wait for their move. Charge the goblins. Just try to scare them away. Golly. I just wonder if I look behind me, like, is this going to waste time that I'll get attacked first or surrounded versus just me going for them right away? And they're like scared of the horse. Gosh, charge them. Your mount speeds up, though it doesn't have enough space to enter a gallop. You repair your weapon, but while you feel somewhat comfortable with a blade when on foot, fighting from saddle is completely unfamiliar to you. The younger goblin attempts to stop your horse, but the strike it receives sends it into a nearby bush, screaming in pain. The gray one, however, manages to grab your boot and is now trying to keep up with your speed, making one long leap after another. The first strong swing of your axe wasn't able to reach the target. A spear would be better in this scenario. Try to hit it with magic for 2. I guess I'll do that. That's my strong suit. You unwrap the linen sheet and grab willow wand. Still as smooth as on the day you bought it. The pointy carved twig is thin, but heavy from the injected quicksilver. You raise it as if you were about to stab the air with a dagger, then make a swipe. The invisible wave strikes the creature in the middle of its leap. Making it let go of your boot, it rolls over the road and your mount runs faster. Your leg is free, the road is clear. Ride. For a few moments, you hear the angry shouts and screeches, but soon after that, it's only you and your mount. Time to see what we're going to find down the road. Well, that could have gone worse. Fallen tree. Decent spot for a fish trap if I had one. The round pine tree blocks the road for a wayfarer walking over the thin branches at the top. Not much of an issue. Even Peabody, led on a rope, could walk around the stump. A large wagon couldn't move onward in one piece, at least not without detaching the mules. Unpacking all the wares and moving everything with hands. Cutting a tree into pieces would take hours, even with the proper tools. You can't hope to move it with just the muscles you and the mount have to offer. Look around. Investigate the surrounding area. You walk deeper into the forest, searching through the shrubs and trees. You don't find any side paths nor remains of a camp or hamlet. The first game trail you find is used exclusively by animals. Look at the tree. The leaves are not completely dry, and when you break one of the twigs, it still contains water. There are no signs of sickness that you can recognize, while the termites and other bugs are still sparse. Beneath the trunk, there's no blood, no abandoned limbs. The stump. You don't find any marks of maw or paws. The top is hip-high and unnaturally smooth. You could comfortably sit down on it. The tracks. In the trampled grass, you find two sets of tracks to follow. There are no hoof prints. The first set is near the destroyed wagon. The wayfarers suddenly stopped. You see where they made a sharp turn. The second trail is close to the tree stump. Most of the marks were left by flat, cheap boots, not suitable for long walks, but someone was wearing hard, wide heels, distorting the ground. Both trails avoid the eastern wilderness. They stick to the main road and lead you north. They could have belonged to 24 people, maybe more. You follow them for a bit, but lose them once there's no more mud and tree needles to find. Check out the wagon. Planks are still firm and there's no mustiness in the air, but the vehicle needs just a push to fall into pieces, like a child's toy with nothing to keep the parts together. There are ways to construct a wagon with just wood, leather, and fiber, but you find the marks of hinges, braces, nails, and clamps, which are all now gone. The wheels are missing their steel rims. You find only one linen bag, empty and moist. You can't estimate how deep the tracks are. The ground was hard. The cart's weight wasn't a significant factor. The river. It would only take 2 steps to disappear into the deep water. The rocky bank smells fresh and is filled with sounds of frogs, insects, and birds. It's not a good spot to quench your thirst. The beds of long kelp pulled by the flow of the river are crowded with fish and four-legged creatures that you don't even recognize. You keep an eye on the land. There's no carcass in sight and no sign of shells that will be left nearby. Check the bushes. There are no berries left, only broken twigs, fallen leaves, and trampled grass. You notice a pointy arrow made by a human hand, with the head made of horn and black-orange fletching. You don't know what type of bird would have such feathers. You see no arrow marks around, not even on the wagon. The western hill. The rocky wall isn't much of a challenge. The top of the hill is covered with short grass and sparse trees. You notice a couple of bushes with a good view of the road. Just next to the remains of a campfire, charred pieces of wood, ash, bird bones, trampled grass, and a broken earthenware bottle. You follow the deepest tracks leading to the edge of the soft earth. Someone jumped down, or at least stopped stepping on the grass. Check the road. The road here is already overgrown, fading away, but it's in no worse shape than the other parts of the southeastern route. No alternate path has formed around the blockade. So it kind of just seems like the tree, was cut down by something. Because when you look at the stump, there's no weird marks on it. And it's unnaturally smooth. Which suggests it was like cut by something really strong, possibly, but like cleanly. And like no one was killed, but they like stole all the metal bits off the wagon and whatever it was carrying. And then they all left. What do you think happened to the tree? It was cut down to set up an ambush. That's the only thing that makes sense. The wind wouldn't crack it cleanly. A monster would not do it so cleanly either. It was cut down. Why was the wagon abandoned? Because it was... I feel like either of these could be kind of true. But there's no evidence that it was like outright attacked. But that doesn't mean it wasn't. You know? Like they could have threatened and not fired a shot. But clearly somebody was camped out here. And then a bunch of them left. So I'm going to say it was attacked. Was originally on it. There was a bag. It's now empty. So it like was recent. No signs of sickness. No blood, no abandoned limbs. The stump was cleanly cut. The tracks. First set is near the destroyed wagon. The wayfarers suddenly stopped. Second trail was close to the tree stump. Most of the marks were left by flat, cheap boots not suitable along walks, but someone was wearing hard, wide heels, distorting the ground. Both trails avoid the eastern wilderness. They stick to the main road and lead you north. They could have belonged to 24 people, maybe more. You follow them for a bit. So, like, some tracks are near here, some tracks are up here, but they all eventually lead north. They took all the parts off of it. It wasn't heavily weighed down. There was only one bag. And someone had a little camp up there. There wasn't a lot of stuff on there that was super heavy. Maybe food supplies if there's like a bag. If it was a bunch of passengers, you'd think it would be heavier. Food. What happened to the owners? They were taken north. You think the tree was cut down to set up an ambush. The cart which transported food supplies was attacked by highwaymen. Its owners were taken north. I think so. But you can't be sure what really happened here. You don't think there's much left for you to find. Hopefully you haven't missed anything. I think the tree was cut down to set up an ambush. The creature for food supplies was attacked by highwaymen. Its owners were taken north. Interesting. Well, I would consider washing myself. River's full of life. Not only a bit brown and greenish, but also smelling of algae. It won't help you much. You need at least one piece of bathing equipment to get more out of this place. Never mind. I guess we turn back, or do we... I guess we can go around, they said. Safe water source, fishing spot, nighttime shelter. As long as you ride uphill, the forest is sparse. Soon after, the tree roots tear the path apart. The road is coated with branches, acorns, leaves, and chestnuts. And some seedlings have already broken through the pitted surface of the road. If left undisturbed for another year or two, the forest will reclaim this place. Finally, you ride upward again. The plants are getting smaller, the road more rocky. Sigh with relief. You struggle to ignore the overwhelming layers of the howling wilderness. The birds, insects, monkeys, wind-blown leaves. It takes some time before you isolate the more distant roaring of large monsters from the west, hidden in the deep forests of the lowland, a realm of no humans. Still, you don't hear anything coming from the watchtower. Its upper level lacks a wooden platform from which the guards could fire their crossbows or drop stones onto opponents below. So this place was not meant to be used in combat, but rather as shelter from claws and fangs. Such structures can be found in especially untamed parts of the Dragonwoods, used occasionally by travelers or patrolling squads. Since the end of the war, the cities can't find enough people in dragon bones to keep them in good shape. You see no footsteps, no lights, no fresh trash, or a latrine. The birds are cleaning their feathers on top of the tower, while the branches are moved by the fierce cold wind. Look for the tracks I saw near the fallen tree. The tracks led here, through the narrow gate, then west. The hard heels are especially noticeable. Look at the signpost. The planks and letters are damaged by decades of rains, frosts, borers, and claws. You scratch down some of the moss. There are 3 planks on the signpost, each one pointing in a different direction. The letters don't tell you anything. There are 3 planks on the signpost, each one pointing in a different direction. Isn't that what I just read? The one on the top points both south and north. But there are no pictures that would tell you anything more than that. The plank beneath it points east, and there's a word written in blue paint. The arrow here looks more like a magic wand. The bottom plank has a picture of a tall tower surrounded by little houses and points west. The wood is covered in red paint, suggesting danger. Am I tired of reading yet? I'll probably take a break in a few minutes. Just to stretch my legs and get something to drink, but I'm enjoying it. But the arrow looks more like a magic wand. That makes me wonder what that means. Maybe there's something interesting about the spruce trees. It must be a human-made copse. Only the smallest of the spruces are out of order, born of wild seeds. The largest trees are as tall as the tower itself, which surely doesn't help those who were meant to observe their surroundings. There are also some stumps, most of which used to belong to young saplings. These trees were likely meant to be sold to carpenters and coopers, but they were left alone many years ago. What is a cooper? No, I've heard wooden barrels in tubs. Okay. In the copse, you find wild fennels and lettuce thriving in shadows. And there are pears and berries growing among nearby trees and shrubs. It's kind of crazy that this is still the first day out of 40 days. Examine the campfire spot. Wild plants here need more than 1 week before they'll ripe. Interesting. I'm not sure if if I've been just writing down my own notes, honestly. Because it seems like there's different places where you could harvest food, but only after a certain amount of time. I don't know if the game will remind me that, or if I'm just supposed to remember that or recognize it, or like I said, keep my own note somehow. I think I don't know if I'll necessarily always stream it when I play the game, but I like it. So I'll definitely keep playing it. Uh, it depends on the game. Sometimes I'll write stuff down on paper if it's like puzzle games or things where I'm keeping notes like that. But for right now, I was just putting it in a text file. If I think I'm going to keep a lot of stuff, I might put it on an actual piece of paper, though. Did I look at the campfire? A shattered bowl, the remains of a meal from many years ago. However, the firewood and the lonely stool are not too old. You don't doubt that the watchtower seems less threatening to the wayfarers than the wilderness around it, even while it's locked. So what's the difference between... Is the entrance like the door to the tower and the gate is this? I looked at the signpost, right? Yeah, okay. Walk to the gate, I guess. Let's look through the gate. I don't honestly write stuff very often other than to like sign something or the whatever. But I do still write stuff down on paper. I find it's useful. I don't think I have it anymore, but like I was actually getting vibes of that from this game when I'm like investigating the tree fall thing. Playing any game where it can like be like a mystery where you're trying to use the information that the game's giving you to try and figure out what happened, like a little murder mystery or something else. What game was that I played? The I always forget what it's called. I think it's called Paint Creek Killings, which is kind of like a first-person puzzle exploration mystery game. And the ending kind of annoyed me, but the game itself had a lot of really, like, it was very open-ended and sort of letting you just figure out the puzzle yourself. And yeah, writing on a waxed tablet. I read that earlier and I'm like, how the heck does that work? I guess you just carve into it. Anyway, I approach the gate. Setting up a firm wall in place like this is a bit unusual. It goes on for no more than 40 feet until it connects with a natural rock face. Such a structure could be found near a city, allowing to stop any travelers and search through their belongings or request a fee. But in the middle of nowhere, deers and other animals used to be running here with no hindrance must have been more than annoyed. A risky investment. You touch the gate made of high quality wood, previously soaked in oil, now mostly wiped off. It was left open, and you don't see any wooden bar that would be used to lock it. You try to move the cold planks buried in dried out mud, but with no luck. It would require some wearying digging. Approach the entrance. You take a look at Peabody. If necessary, it could bow its head and walk inside. This place should be a decent shelter for both of you. The planks are strong, heavy, well protected from rain and wind, and when you knock, they seem to be thick. While the door shakes at your push, it won't open. Defensive structures usually have a locking bar on the inner side, but you also see a large keyhole. You walk around the tower, making sure there are no open windows or other entrances. It doesn't look like you can get in without destroying the door. Doing so is going to make a potential entryway for wild creatures. It doesn't look like you can get in without destroying the door. Look through the keyhole. Kneel down and take a peek. There's nothing in the hole, but the room is dark, with tiny bits of light passing through the crevices of the windows. You see the shapes of wooden furniture like tables, casks, and a ladder. The only movement you notice belongs to the dust dancing in sunbeams. So I can get in this place, but it would permanently destroy the door. But otherwise, it's useless to me as shelter, or what might I find within, you know? So I feel like I just gotta axe the door. Go for it. New shelter unlocked. You start chopping the door in a spot where two planks are connected to one another. It takes a bit of time and some precision, especially since you struggle to find the right angle to take a swing. Finally, the wood cracks. When you push it, it lets out the dizzy creaking of rusty hinges. An empty table stands in the middle of a large, round room filled with dusty furniture. Without the open door, you'd struggle to see anything. You wait to be sure that nothing tries to jump on you and finally hide your weapon. I need to remember to sharpen that later on. Interesting. That could secure the roads by getting rid of any major threats. Convince the tribes to negotiate with officials. Soldiers told me about a large village that repeatedly uses necromancy. Even though it's forbidden by law and can be extremely dangerous, I should take a look and judge for myself, which is somewhere among the bogs by the northwestern road. I found an abandoned watchtower set near an eastern road. It needs some renovations, but could easily be turned into a military post. Cool. The first thing you notice is the room isn't high, and just like the window suggested, there's a second floor above it. The scent sparks an image of a cellar, humid, but without much mustiness. Tree stumps used as stools surround a table in the center, now covered in dust. The shelves are empty, with no tools left behind. You see a couple of dishes laying in various spots, empty, sticky. The bugs are crawling both on the furniture and near the walls. Spiders, roaches, worms. You think about taking a look into one of the casks, but the smell coming from it makes you change your plans. Instead, you climb up the ladder. The view isn't much different. The floor is covered with pieces of trash, dirty furniture, and sleeping pallets, which are moist, smelly, and full of wriggling and chirping creatures. Huh. I don't care about some bugs, I just need to ignore them. You climb down. Peabody is looking at the grass outside, still touched by sunlight. You approach the windows, one locked with two heavy wooden bars. Opening them would not be a problem, but knocking them down from the outside won't be an easy task. You sigh with relief. It's a safe place, but there's bugs. I'd have to get rid of the bugs. But all right. Travel, I guess. We can go multiple directions. Was it to the east? There was like a points east. The arrow here looks like a magic wand. I'm curious what the heck that means. Oh. The first part of the trail is narrow and overgrown. The steep crag in the south divides the lush forest in half. You barely recognize any shapes in the entanglement of grays, browns, and greens. The northern landscape, while similarly impenetrable, is the exact opposite. The meadow turns into barren hills and mountains, barely covered by grass and bushes. Maybe the riding ibexes of the clanspeople from the growing mountains would get through such a barrier. Huh. So, like, the forest turns to big hills and mountains. There are no clans here. Hmm. Point of this icon display entire area at once. No, we can leave like this so it slowly reveals itself. I think we'll take a quick break here. Actually, this seems like a good moment. I'm gonna grab something to drink and be right back.